Ja.
Hörst du mich? Jetzt bin ich wieder drin.
Sehr gut. Ja, ich höre dich, aber du bist trotzdem nicht als
Ich kann doch.
Doch, hier unten bist du. Alles
Schau mal,
klar.
ich bin jetzt.
Sekunde.
Schau.
Sag mal was.
Ja, hörst du mich?
Ja, ich höre dich. Super. Oh, Gott sei Dank.
Super. Ja, genau. Da war er übrigens auch wieder, der Sprech.
Okay, ich habe dich wieder umbenannt.
We start 5 p.m. in time. We have a interpreter, translation channel, Dolmetscher. You find it downstairs right normally. So skip later, please, to English if you need an English translation. And we will try to start in time. And everybody will be changed from visitor to participant and speaker later on. This will be done by Steffi Offe in Brussels. So don't worry, and everybody is able to contribute later. So we try our very best, and especially with our friends from Ukraine. So David and who else want to give a short contribution, and we prepared a short contribution of Lilia Heitz, just to ensure it was done by audio, so that if the line will be cut, so that we will be able to give inside information about Kiev too. Thank you. In summits we start, okay?
Ihr könnt bitte nicht dort im Flur sein.
Hello, we can see you, but could we just like test the sound if we can also hear you? So if you can say something, would be great.
Sollen wir sprechen?
Nein, nicht du, Frau Absolver.
Okay, gut. So, ich werde noch ein bisschen ranzoomen bei uns. Rübergehen. So.
Will denn jemand noch Kaffee?
Genau.
Мне просто интересно. Летела таки, да?
Я не знаю, такого же не было.
Okay, we can hear you and see you. That's great.
Es ist 5 Uhr, liebe Steffi, sollen wir starten?
Ja, ich starte mit der Aufzeichnung in den Recordings.
Okay, dann darf ich Sie alle sehr herzlich begrüßen zu unserem dritten EWS Live, Faschingsdienstag. Aber nach Fasching ist uns nicht zumute. Normalerweise hätte man gedacht, das ist so ein Fasching-Scherz, aber das ist viel zu ernst und deswegen arbeiten wir heute auch. Es ist so wie immer, wie wir das Thema auch kurzfristig umgestellt haben.
We changed our topic on this Carnival Tuesday, which is a serious Tuesday. And we had to, of course, change everything. And we will do this topic next time or another time. But today we're dealing with the current crisis. And especially our guests from Ukraine. We want to discuss with them. But before, as usual, the technical introduction by Stephanie from Brussels of our partner SME Connect.
Guten Tag und ein herzliches Willkommen zu unserem heutigen EWS Live, das Senatoren-Briefing mit einem Sondermeeting zum Krieg in der Ukraine. Mein Name ist Stephanie Offen. Bevor wir starten, würde ich gerne mit einer kurzen technischen Einführung beginnen. Nach und nach werden wir alle Teilnehmer zu Diskussionsteilnehmern befördern, damit sie später an der Diskussion teilnehmen können. Damit sind sie sowohl sichtbar als auch hörbar für alle anderen. Sie können jedoch Ihre Kamera ausschalten, indem Sie den Kameraknopf drücken. Wenn Sie eine Frage stellen wollen oder ein Statement abgeben möchten, tun Sie das bitte, indem Sie den Handhebeknopf in der Einstellungsleiste drücken. Alle Diskussionsteilnehmer sind während der Reden anderer stumm geschaltet. Wenn Sie an der Reihe sind, schalten Sie bitte Ihr Mikrofon frei, sobald es vom Moderator gefordert wird. Sollten Sie dabei Probleme haben, helfe ich Ihnen gern. Falls nicht anders vereinbart, lassen Sie bitte Ihr Mikrofon stumm geschaltet. Bitte beachten Sie, dass wir heute einen Dolmetscher-Service nutzen werden. Stellen Sie also bitte sicher, dass Sie den richtigen Kanal wählen, um der Übersetzung zu folgen. Sie können das tun, indem Sie die Weltkugel-Button bzw. Knopf in der Einstellungsleiste auf der rechten und unteren Seite unterhalb des Videos drücken. Let me quickly repeat that in English. Please note that we will use an interpretation service, so please ensure to choose the right channel to follow the translation. You can do this by pressing the World button in the setting bar at the bottom right side below the video. Das war schon von meiner Seite und ich gebe hiermit ab an unseren Moderator Michael Jäger, Geschäftsführer des Europäischen Wirtschaftssenats.
Ja, also zunächst einmal möchte ich mich.
So first of all, I want to say thank you for the support of SME Connect in Brussels. And it's great that we connect this well. On my left, Mark van der Meden by Herbalife, who came anyway, even though we connected the topic of today with the more current topic. And on my right, our all-purpose weapon, Franz Josef Spier. We're very, very happy that you're here because we need you as a voice for the entrepreneurs. And all the way on the outside there, Horst Heinz, he is the new head of the office in Brussels of the European Economic Senate, but also the Taxpayers Association. So we're here together as a network. My suggestion would be, since we have colleagues from Ukraine, that we have short statements before we have people also speak in this committee, in this meeting. Maybe Yaroslav or Dimitri is somebody who wants to join first. Maybe you can unmute. Best would be with picture, even though I don't expect that. So Vasil, if you can take the floor. Is it possible for you?
I don't hear anybody. Unmute you. Unmute. You have to unmute yourself. It's not.
Okay.
Okay. So
do you hear us now?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm very glad to see you, dear friends. We are talking to you right now from Ukraine, and you know that all of us didn't expect that events that are happening now in our country, they will make such a great danger to the whole security, not only for Ukraine, but for the European security and for the security of the whole world. You know that the indiscriminate form of all these attacks that where standard Russian practice for such cities as Aleppo and Homs, they are unfortunately likely to be practiced here by the Russian army. All of you see those bombings that are going now in our cities, and you see that under bombs there are not army units but civil people, and they suffer the most. Russian army, they are armed with rockets, with bombs and artillery. So, of course, they must be stopped immediately, but it is very, very difficult for Ukrainian army forces because we have an open sky for this time, and NATO is not taking a decision to close the air over Ukraine. So this is the first question, the first ask that we believe you can help us to solve, to ask the NATO to close the air over Ukraine. Because if this will not happen, then there is a very big danger that Ukrainian cities, they will return into Aleppo. We must understand. You know that Ukrainian army is strong. We are fighting as we can, but for this time we started a process of forming of territorial units from the common people. They are taking arms into their hands, and they are going to struggle to fight with Russian army, with Ukrainian armed forces. It is a very important decision for our homeland. And the next question, we need help to provide all these new units that are being formed from civil people. We do not have enough ammunition. We do not have enough equipment, transports. They include everything: ballistic helmets, vests, uniforms, all terrain type vehicles. That is very important for us to get this help in very short terms of time, because these small units, they are showing such a big courage in fighting with Russian heavy machines, and they are destroying them everywhere we can. But we need more. We need more technical equipment, and we need to protect people. So I say again that we need ballistic helmets, vests, uniforms, of course, drones, even laptops with help of which we can manage drone units and surveillance systems.
Yaroslav, maybe what I saw already, Vasil, said you have sent a list from stamped from the government, because we with the Economic Summit, we are more on the economic sphere, not the military sphere. But if you send a list, next to me is our member of parliament. We have sent it already to our internal minister in Bavaria. If you send a list, what you need, humanitarian aid. We do a lot of things now with humanitarian aid to prepare a list, Vasil, and send it to Daniel, or Mariana should send it to me, and we will forward it. That's what we can do. And we Horst also with his network, we try our very best. I understand that it's necessary to have the right equipment. And I heard first with also laptops. That's what we didn't hear. So also these things, if it's necessary, any assistance we can provide, we can organize, I think will be welcome. So please prepare such a list, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm not taking a lot of time because we have too many tasks to solve now. I'll give a few words for our friend Vasil. Thank you.
Our Senator Vasil.
Я хочу сказати тільки декілька слів на українській мові. Чому? Для того, щоб ви потім переклали мої слова і зрозуміли настільки важливу цю справу, що ця війна, вона не просто війна як картинка. Ця війна є запекла і дуже жорстока. І німецький народ, як ніхто, не зможе зрозуміти, що це таке є. І якщо ви, як німецький народ, не зможе зорганізуватись для того, щоб дати нам допомогу,
someone has to translate it.
І якщо ви, як цей німецький народ, не зможе
кажуть, що треба, щоб хтось перекладав.
Тоді перекладете. Я хотів тільки сказати ще декілька слів. І якщо ви, як німецький народ, не зможете зорганізуватись і надати допомогу, це грозить тому, що Німеччина може бути розколота. І все повернеться, як в 1985 році. Тому подумайте над цим. В мене все. Дякую. Хай щастить. Слава Україні!
That was in Ukrainian language too. So I would, 40 minutes time limit. I don't know. It's not from our side. Someone is sharing the screen. Please stop. Siegfried, hör auf, den Bildschirm zu teilen. So Vasil, is someone translating what you said?
Mikhail.
Okay, Mariana, can you translate?
Mikhail, I can just shortly translate what Vasily said.
Please.
He said that it is important to understand that this war is real, that this war is catastrophic. This is not only a pictures that somebody is coming up with, fake news. This is all real. This is all happening. And also he was turning to you, to German nation, to German people, to understand that you, with your forces, with your power, should join Ukrainians in order to prevent this catastrophe that can have a global impact not only on Ukraine but also on you as a German nation, and you guys can easily fall apart because also of this conflict. So this is basically what he meant, that everybody can be affected and will be affected with this war. So he's kindly asking to join forces and act very fast because there is no much time.
Yes, that's what we clearly understand. So maybe, David, do you want to contribute from the Ukrainian Taxpayers Association? Dann, David, magst du kurz sprechen? Do you want to speak?
Can anyone
David,
hear
please,
me?
the floor is yours.
Excuse me, can anyone hear me? Hello?
David? It's not working. So I would say would like
Recording
to share
in progress.
What we prepared.
I'm here.
Are you ready now?
Just one moment.
Yeah, but we.
Yes, I'm.
Okay.
I'm ready. Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is David. I'm currently speaking from Kyiv. Here, camera. I'm an advisor to the president of the Taxpayer Association of Ukraine. He sadly couldn't come today because he is currently helping the territorial defense forces in Kyiv, and the situation in our country is currently very difficult because the hostile troops intensified the practice of terror, killing civilians, destruction of our cities and towns, not being able to overcome the strong resistance of us Ukrainians. The Russian enemy is shelling in entire residential areas in cities where there is no critical infrastructure, where there are no positions of the armed forces in which Russians could aim. This is the genocide of the Ukrainian people. Having lost offensive capabilities, the enemy focused on the encirclement of our capital, the city of Kyiv. as of 12 o'clock on the 1st of March, the approximate losses of weapons and military equipment of the enemy of the Russian Federation armed forces are aircraft 29, helicopters also 29, tanks 180 and 98, APV 846, artillery systems 77, anti-aircraft warfare systems 7, MLRS 24, fuel tanks 60, UAV operational and tactical level 3, 2 boats and 305 vehicles. Speaking in personnel, we've defeated 5,710 Russian soldiers. There are no more. And also we've taken 200 prisoners. During the 6 days of war, the occupiers violated many international conventions, committed hundreds of war crimes, and dozens of crimes against humanity. The most horrible and revealing crimes of the last days are quite literally like 60 minutes ago, we heard strong explosions near the, well, I'm currently situated in the downtown of Kiev, and I've heard it. So they're trying to destroy the TV tower currently. Also, they're shelling by systems of jet volley fire of Kharkiv. Airstrike in the center of Kharkiv also occurred recently. At least 11 people were killed in a missile strike in the center of Kharkiv, and more than 30 were injured. Also, the use of Iskander ballistic missiles and the Kalibr cruise missiles continues, including on settlements and social infrastructure, and medical institutions and civilian facilities are systematically being affected. As a result of Russia's actions, Ukraine has suffered hundreds of military and civil casualties, destruction of cities and infrastructure. Putin is raising rates, trying to sow panic and chaos, to force the country to capitalize, and at present, Ukraine's air forces, Ukraine's air defense is the enemy's main target, and if it is damaged, military and civilian casualties will increase. So Ukrainians are very grateful for the unprecedented support of many countries around the world, but it is imperative, I repeat, that NATO immediately close the skies to the Russian aircraft, and that partner countries provide modern, effective air defenses and anti-battery radars. Ukraine's accession to the European Union is especially relevant for us now. On February 28th of this year, Ukraine officially applied to join the European Union under the special simplified procedure. And Europe will not be able to stay away from this whole issue with the whole war. We are grateful to our partners for being with us, but our goal is to be with all Europeans, and most importantly, to be equal. I'm sure that it's fair and we have deserved it at this point. And at the moment, it is time to accept Ukraine into your European family, not in words, but in deeds. Glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraini. Thank you very much, David. Maybe a short contribution, Laura, if you want to say some words from your perspective.
Hello to everyone. Yeah, I could say something. For sure, I'm happy to see you in this conference, and you know that we have this 1 hour, and I'm sitting underground. And to say honestly, less than first speaker was talking on this conference, 3 rockets flying under my house to Kiev. It was like something like that, and somebody switched off my microphone, and if you didn't do it, you will hear it. For sure, as I hear, I'm not a war specialist, you know, but it was some like bombing, yes, if хлопок we call it, could be we got such information that some of this rocket was destroyed. I don't know how many was coming to Ukraine. And what I can tell you honestly, if it would be any possibility for each of you come to Kyiv, you will cry, you will see it. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. I don't know, to be Pacific now, it's also crime, I could say it.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. Our heart and our soul is in Ukraine, and we try, you know, our very best. And we prepared also a paper for the sanctions. I would like to share an audio file by Lilia Heitz, the wife of Horst. She went to Ukraine when the war started, and we were afraid that the connection would be bad. And I just share it. It's some minutes, and she will give a very insight on from her perspective too. And I think it's interesting. And if you want, we can share it later to everyone. We can upload it in Dropbox. Back to now, we start.
Dear senators.
Do you hear it?
Dear Ingo and
yes. Well, we could hear it. Now it's not there anymore.
It is the 6th day of war. And I am happy to see how much these days have united Europe and have caught your attention. But my question is, at what cost? Really, gentlemen, at what cost? So, I'm now located in Irpin. Irpin is a suburb of Kyiv. Here, since day one, we were under attack, a massive attack. We are close to a small airport called Hostomel. It is not a military airport. It used to house our world's biggest cargo plane, Mria, and now Mria is buried there. It is also an area covered with pine wood. It stands along a highway which goes from Kyiv to the Belarusian border. From day one, Russian troops are trying to base camp here. These are mainly Kadyrov troops, from what we hear, the Chechenians. Our army is using the artillery, heavy artillery planes to target their machinery. This is, of course, very dangerous for civilians because once there is an explosion, the particles, the pieces of the machinery are falling on nearby houses and destroying them, also killing people. Some of these militians are managing to save themselves from fire, and then now they are scattered through our town. They are breaking into houses. What they need is a change of clothes, cars. We know a family who has been shot alive because they refused to give their car away. They were driving along the street, stopped by these people and shot. So this is very real. So basically none of us is going out of our houses to go long distances. And now the ordinary men from our town, which is the third line of defense called terror defense, made by ordinary people who know how to shoot, they are patrolling the streets and trying to bring in order and to catch those bastards. We cannot leave Irpin because also the bridges that lead to Kyiv, the roads, they are destroyed, which is the right thing to do, but that blocks us from leaving the town. It's also obviously unsafe to drive, so we have to stay and do our best to shelter. So here is a story for you from the personal experience. This Russian army seems to be so unprofessional that they are still using in their navigation, in their GPS, the maps that with street names that were that we had during the Soviet times, but we changed them after 2015. So they are failing to orient themselves here. But still, what we did as civilians, we took down our street plates, our number plates, and now they are completely lost. This seems to work. Another thing, how we are organizing ourselves as civilians, is through the different chats. This is vital. We are getting there all the necessary information, where to shield, what's happening. Not always on time, but this helps in many ways. Like, for example, the Russians were trying to, they put in the chat a fake call of evacuation. And what they wanted is to put people in buses, which they brought, and by the reason of evacuation. And they were supposed to be going ahead of a military convoy as a living shield. And thanks to this chat, this information was immediately rebuked, and people were saved. The convoy was destroyed. So, in fact, we are very lucky to have still electricity and hot water, but in fact, what is crucial to us is internet connection, which in fact we don't have. We almost have no signal, a cell phone signal, and no internet connection. So, in fact, to survive, we need that. But in fact, we are still lucky because in many areas of Ukraine that had fight, they have nothing at all. So no electricity, no hot water, no shops open. This is really a humanitarian disaster that is coming there. And by the way, after day one, we also have no TV because the main internet line was destroyed, the main cable. So we are now only have the radio available, which is fine. But anyway, this is all nothing, really nothing comparing to what people in Kharkiv and in Kiev are experiencing. And you never know where another Iskander is going to be launched from Belgorod or from Gomel. And it's like living 9/11 every day and every night. And just that you know, bomb shelters aren't available to everyone. The most people have no access to bomb shelters. So how do we protect them? And last, I wanted to share with you my emotion when I was scrolling yesterday my internet feed and watching the pictures of my president signing Ukraine's application for EU membership. What I felt was not excitement as I thought I would feel, but the sorrowness by the surrealness of this moment, that this important step for my country has to happen in such a circumstance. I think that Ukraine has proven its uniqueness many times, and the tenacity of my people defending this country. Just look at the borders. I mean, we are a 44 million population, and the ones that are fleeing are not much. Everyone is here. I am here on purpose. Everyone is involved in defense. We have a first line of defense by our army, the second line of defense made by the people that were in army and now are on a pension, or how you say it. The third line of defense made by ordinary people that everyone is in. We love our land. No one wants to be a refugee, even in a beautiful Western world. So this very much proves the fakeness of the Russian propaganda that Ukrainians are divided, that a part of Ukrainians is desiring closeness with Russia and its Soviet legacy. This always has been a lie. And there will be many more lies uncovered still. Now, on a constructive note, I thank you for your attention, and I thank you for having this discussion. I hope that we will withstand this. Ukraine is an important part of Europe, and I hope that after this everything is over, we can rebuild this country with your help. We have brave, highly educated people, people that love this country. This country has plenty of potential, and I call all of you to look at it and be the future investors in the future of Ukraine. So, thank you very much, and good luck to all of us. Thank you.
Ich denke, das war ein sehr bewegendes Statement auch von der liebe Heitz. Gerade für den Horst ist es nicht einfach, dass seine Frau von jetzt auf gleich runtergereist ist, um für die Freiheit zu kämpfen. Ja,
Fight for freedom. It's not so easy to go into discussion. So, Josef, now as a politician but also a human being, how do we even catch this into words? And maybe you can bring us back to the things we can offer as entrepreneurs. Thank you. My personal statement first. I'm very, very sorry that until the Federal Republic of Germany and our government recognized the dramatic situation that is currently going on in Ukraine and the aggression potential of Russia. I also thought that, it was very unfortunate that we delivered 5,000 helmets instead of defensive weapons. And of course, with 5,000 helmets, Ukraine cannot defend itself. I really would have preferred that we would have shown our flag. In our colors, and I'm very happy that our chancellor found clear words now. I'm convinced that the sanctions that are currently in place will not be sufficient to put Putin in his place. And this is not a conflict between Ukraine and Russia. This is a conflict of freedom values of the Western world, and Putin being against all of that. The Bavarian economy is looking with sorrow at this war, because also we have enterprises that are in Ukraine that have headquarters there. Tomorrow there will be a task force in the economic ministry in Bavaria. They will also talk with banks, and we will talk about how we can support companies that are engaged in Ukraine, because we consider Ukraine as part of the Western community, and Ukraine is an important economic sphere for us and will remain such. And last personal statement, I studied history during my studies. Who wants to convince Germany to fight for Ukraine only needs to look into history books. Germany has, because of its history, has an absolute responsibility to stand by Ukraine's side. We're very, very, very concerned, because also in our Bavarian economic sphere, we have supply chains that are cracked down, etc. And we will run into trouble as well. Of course, that is a topic too, how to deal with crisis, and sanctions are important. I looked at it again. 3,600 enterprises and Russia active, and 400 large enterprises in Ukraine. So this doesn't even include mid-sized companies. So the consequences for the economy, next to energy prices and supply chain, we will feel that. And of course, dependence in corn and etc. You know, all of this is a risk if we only have one provider. Before COVID, nobody would have thought that we're so dependent on China. And now we see that we're also dependent on Russia, and nobody would have thought that. So this is a lesson we have to learn. And the question is how we will deal with this. Will we write this off immediately? What about loans? Loans are not supposed to be continued. This, of course, is a big problem because, you know, the banks won't back their money now, and these companies cannot do business right now. So how can they pay off their credit? So this is a dramatic situation. We really need to look into this. Mark van der Meeden, before I turn it over to you, you are immediately affected by the sanctions. So please go ahead. I'm here today. I would have had a different mission here today, but I wanted to step by anyway. And this is something that privately affects me, but also economically. I want to pay my biggest respect to all of you in Ukraine. Of course, we also have business in Ukraine. We have 25,000 members, and about 8,000 people are entrepreneurs who are making their money with the business we're bringing them. And they are afraid, of course. And in this discussion with the European headquarters in England, we can support them so they don't lose everything, but can receive monies and can be supported later on to continue their business. We have 40 employees who are at home, who are also supported, like the task force. And we're sitting here and trying to see how we can help, not just now, but in the future. And with 8,000 entrepreneurs, independent contractors, who are afraid and are worried. Yes, it's very moving. Johannes Zwick raised his hand. This morning I spoke with Laura Leupold. Maybe you can speak also as well. And Horst Heitz. Johannes Zwick, Laura Leupold, Horst Heitz, Daniel Betzel. And Johannes, please, go ahead. David, do you speak German? Okay. There will be a translation for you, David. It is interesting what you said. I have a completely different point here. We have to be thankful to Ukraine, defending our values, freedom, security. And the question is, if the Russian bear wants to continue, it's also the simple people that pay higher energy prices, inflation. We need to discuss what we can do to really help Ukraine. The politics will help. I spoke to the financial minister today. Of course, Germany will help, but in this round, we should discuss what we can do as a network. Militarily, we're not a military organization, but what can we do? What can we supply? We don't need good words and we don't need to clap. They need weapons that they can defend. And I think we need to realize this. This is where we need to apply pressure. So first of all, that's what I want to say. Maybe we need to, on EU level, government level. And the second thing I want to say is I see when I look at this, Putin is especially vulnerable with social media. I really draw my head before Zelensky how he's dealing with this. So what can we do in social media to pass on what he's saying so that people realize this, people see this? I would like to call in the name of the EES, we need to unite with the hackers. The European Economic Senate should call for all hackers to help Ukraine. If Moscow has no longer energy, if they have no longer communication, then the people there will also realize what is going on. And if the EES connects with Anonymous and say, please hack Russia. Thank you.
All right. Is the question addressed to me, right?
Laura, thank you, Michael. And I want to state a call for Germany to all mid-size companies that now after Corona have all sort of financial burdens. They dealt with this. I looked at a survey, 88% of the German industrial enterprises look at or consider a strong or even existential burden on the future. 68% of enterprises cannot pass on these increased energy prices to their customers. They ask for a short-term help by the German government. This German mid-sized companies are envied by the entire world. But especially this German mid-sized companies is being ruined. And to everybody here present, also Mr. Pscherer, it is also important of this mid-sized, the classic mid-sized companies need deburdening. Thank you, Laura, for this call. We have a paper on our website. We also stated the short-term and immediate measures that need to be taken. Please, Franz Josef, correct me if I'm wrong. Of course, in the beginning, the state will intervene, but we need solutions for our enterprises that are export enterprises. Horst, please. Thank you. I'm not speaking as a private person. I'll speak as a mid-sized company association. For us, it is important that we are supporting the Ukraine and we will support the most strictest measures and sanctions, because freedom and rule of law is the highest value we have. And behind this, economy needs to step down behind that. We need help that is paid out now. So the German enterprises, the German economy needs to supply goods. Medicine, Ukraine is still producing that, but materials for that are missing. Please, all goods that are going to Ukraine should be tax-free. All supplies that are given away for free need to be tax deductible. So this is sort of like a war Marshall Plan. Second, it is totally clear that this fight, if it continues, the German and the European economy will need to pay their part. And we need to rethink all bureaucratic hurdles, all taxes, and act quickly, that these enterprises can withstand this pressure. Because thirdly, this war with Russia, it's really our war as well, will continue. Even if Ukraine will have a some sort of peace agreement, but Putin will be a danger for Ukraine and for us for many, many years. So our society needs to understand this. We need to create acceptance for this. We are a democracy. We have elections. We need to fundamentally change. We need to have fundamentally new foci. We need to be stronger, and we need to be clear that we are in competition of systems. Energy dependency on Russia, technological dependency on China, and defense dependability on the US, dependence on US. Europe has really spent their peace dividends over many decades. This price is paid first by Ukraine, but in the end, we will pay it all. We need to be practical. We need to not lose the focus, to give economy the possibility to survive and to perform. And I think it's very important that the enterprises that are there, that you need to help people. Every enterprise that can support. This is an investment in the future of democracy, where this is the only way a market economy can thrive. Horst said, called for something important, speed. Before the war in Ukraine, already deburdening measures were decided upon, but it's taking too long. We need to become faster because we're being overtaken by reality. So the measures, e.g., the suppliers need to change their point of view. 90% value-added tax. How can we act in this? Can you maybe do something in this? All of this needs to be discussed. All of this needs to be put on the table. And of course, the Taxpayers Association is looking at the 100 billion we're now spending on defense, but we also need to look at this. Spending the money will not be enough. We need to look at the best possible ways. We should not have many Gorch Fox, but we need to have weapons that we can interchange within Europe, between Germany and France, we cannot even help each other out with ammunition. We need to become better with that. This is a big challenge. And in our mutual paper that we published, there are some thoughts on that. Daniel, maybe a short statement by you. And Irai, just quickly, just Ukraine today, and Mr. Kastner, just Daniel, go ahead. Unmute, please. Can you hear me? Dear Michael, dear senators, now we're talking 45 minutes about people in Ukraine, but they need help immediately. We need to do something now. Last night I talked to Horst. I'm ashamed. I cannot supply helmets. I cannot supply shields. The people are fighting, and they're fighting without gear. And we need to find immediate measures. This is all good what we're talking about, but people need help now. People that are talking, they're in the middle of all of this. We need to help them now. There's so much fake in this world. People are giving money, but there's fake accounts. How people are asking themselves, how can we help? Czech Republic, etc. They said we want to help. We need to use our brand EES. We need to get into action. Many of you went to Kiev 10 times, 20 times. You saw the streets. I'm 90 kilometers from the border, 90 kilometers from where the bombs are dropping. They sent a list of what they need. They need it tomorrow, not the day after, not next week. Daniel, we passed it on, and my call was to Vasil and to David that they send it to us, and we pass it on immediately. And of course, our problem, and you said it, we don't have helmets, we don't have defensive gear. I got a message today by a German former comrade. There's a Hungarian position where we can buy the defensive plates. The market is empty. You said that you paid 900 euros for a vest that usually costs 250. The Ukrainians are buying whatever is there. The problem is, where do we get new material? We have 200,000 euros. What we also need is blood, medical supplies to stop blood flow, unfortunately, a lot of things are lost in between. Many people want to help. How can we organize it correctly? That's the question. We have no organizational structure. And Daniel, you're right. I want to help too. And it is super difficult because everything is going, you know, the more simple, the better. Irai? Irai, please, go ahead. Greetings to everyone. I hope you can hear me. The problem is we're talking all. We could have prevented this if the high up people talked with Putin. Now it's over, of course. As a young man, I experienced the Iranian war. It's unbelievable if the bombs are dropping. We're all quite worried. I would call for a mutual action. One thing I want to say, if Putin doesn't want to think, if he sees that the entire world, EU, Turkey, even Iran, if they say that they're on the side of Ukraine, everybody is extremely affected and moved by this. And the Ukrainians are known as a democratic European people. I would suggest, if an earthquake happens, everybody collects goods and organizes help. The EU is still passive. And the Turkish minister, German prime minister was there already. But the French, for example, are just talking. Everybody mutually and together has to supply aid. Many people in the world don't realize what Russia is doing. We need to put out the word. We need to put out in the news. I'm afraid that, you know, the Russian government wants this war, but the people don't. Maybe we can help via Turkey. I'm happy to talk to governmental people here. I wanted to tell you, I want to offer my help with this. Thank you, Irai. Our partner in Austria, there is an address in the chat, helpukraine.center/en. You can give pass on medical supplies, and we're thinking about how we can concentrate. Ted Kastner, go ahead. Good evening. Of course, I'm moved too that people in Ukraine are dying, and we cannot do anything against that. This is really a helplessness that is overcoming us. But I think the most important thing is, what does Putin want? The Ukraine itself doesn't make sense. He wants to fulfill his his imperial ideas. Maybe Poland, etc., are in danger. This is what we really need to realize, so we can think ahead and act sooner. And we are always going by the rules, but if the other side is not going by the rules, he's already activating his nuclear weapons. I think the most important thing is to get rid of Putin. There could be rebellion, getting its own people getting rid of him, and there's financial problems, gas, oil, coal. So we shouldn't wait for Putin to switch us off, but that we switch him off. Not in years, but in 3 months. As long as our gas reserves are still there, we need to take everything away from Putin, which is in our power. This is my demand. Thank you. This correlates with our papers. This correlates with the measures we have stated that need to happen. And yes, Peter. And then Laura, then Larissa. Thank you, Michael. Today, I talked to a contact via Hungary. And he described the situation that there's only a few days for the militia, the people and the military, that it will also be about food supplies. I have contacts with two majors. Currently at our own army, there's not enough food supply for our own military for just one exercise. We have no possibilities to send troops or support the Ukrainians, at least with food for the fighting units. Normally you have dry frozen things. This needs to be rich and very nutritious, and this is something we need to do as well, in my opinion. We need to see how we can, from our own moved point, move food. How can we construct supply chains for things that are needed? I also I saw 1,400 euros for these protective vests. These prices will explode. Total catastrophe right now. It looks as if we Europeans, we cannot even supply food. I'm in communication with companies to change supply chains, production chains. There are some tricks, some simple tricks. You have to sort of overlook some DIN norms. We need direct help. I'm totally with Daniel. We cannot hide behind guidelines, tax guidelines, or talking about how energy will become, you know, if the Ukraine loses, our lights will go out permanently. So I'm a little bit ashamed. I'm not interested in that. Let's talk who can change production technology, who can help to supply things, who can change their systems, who can supply, what do we need to supply. It's not about making money, it's about supplying. I'm afraid it's almost too late. I think Kiev will be completely surrounded in the next few days, and this fascistoid talk by Lavrov this morning, and you know, there will be horrible things happening tonight and tomorrow. And now we have Chechenian soldiers. So these child soldiers of Putin are not worth naming, but it's now we have real fighters coming. You know, in 1 week they will need a lot of food. The Ukrainians need food. We need to supply that. Who's supplying food to Ukraine? The food industries are broken down. People are supposed to fight and have no food. This is going to go completely awry. This is correct. Immediate help is what we need. You're right. All of the things that are being planned now, what Lindner is planning, this needs to happen immediately. We need to overlook guidelines and rules. We need to pass them. Everybody is doing money accounts where you can give money, but we need to look at what we can really do and how we can organize it and unify it. And again, David or Basil, what is needed exactly. So if it's produced, that we need, that we get the money, that it goes fast, that all of this happens within a week, not even a week. We need to react now. This is really quite a challenge. We need to start. We need to help people. And a person who doesn't have food or drink, how is he's supposed to fight for freedom? We need to now change our production chains and not when Kiev has gone down. When Kiev has gone down, it's too late. And a modern production chain to change normally it takes months. We only have days. Laura is also someone. I'll keep it short. I'm in food supply. Of course, I cannot speak for everybody in our business, but I know exactly that many enterprises send food to Ukraine every week. I myself, I've been sending bread to Ukraine every week. I'm asked every week. I don't talk about it much, but we are doing that. Of course, it's self-understood.
Laura, please.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I tried to do it quick. I think that the best way and the easiest way, and just to find a kind of strategy for you, man, to think what you really can do, not to say, not it even not a food, because it doesn't matter. Would I hungry, or I will eat some chocolate or bread or something else if I will be killed? Yes, I think it's completely clear. The second point, which I would like to underline, it's your competence. I know you many years, 20 plus, yes, and I know your lobbying skills and network. There is blah, 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 blah. What we can do, it doesn't work never. Yes, politicians which make a decision. And businessmen which is influential in your country, the same like in Russia. If, for instance, Germany will do the same, all over the world will find somebody who would be under sanctions. Yes? Why not talk to them? If such people so important, and if, let's say, freedom of Europe is important, you could do it. And the third one, please realize for yourself your own, like a country, and a personal, not responsibility, but impotence, yes, in such situation. But that this could happen. And there is no tools for Europe, for Germany, and for Senate, let's say, and you independently. Yes, your connections was not enough to prevent such a problem. It's catastrophe for Europe. It's catastrophe now. Now, Russia, how to say, German and Russia exchange places. Yes, now Russia is the big enemy in Europe. And they will follow with us or without us. They will took this baggage for the next 50, 70, 100 years. And this is a chance to the rest of Europe to understand weaknesses of such situations.
Yes, you're right. You're right. But this event today, you saw it was a different topic in principle, and faced with the situation, we changed it. And we cannot, how to say, I tell it in German and it will be translated. Man darf die Netzwerke sowohl
you should not overesteem the EES and the Taxpayers Association. Of course, we're lobbyists, and of course, we have our connections. Thank you to Mr. Fischer for this real description. Of course, we need to find ways to find help and aid. We can only kick politicians or politics into their behind. We're not superheroes, but we cannot force any entrepreneur to change his or her production line. My plea is, we need lists of what is needed so we can try to pass this on immediately. So Mariana, quickly.
Just a second, Michael. Yes, what the most we need is the close the sky. Just put your pressure to the people who is responsible to making this decision. That's it.
Yes, but to say it honestly, to say, listen, NATO has to close the sky over Ukraine. It's not the decision of the European Economic Senate. Sorry to say this. We will provide this information to our military contacts, and for sure we will give it to our politicians, this information. I wrote it down, but it's not the main competence of the European Economic Senate. The competence is what Peter said, was Peter gesagt hat.
What Peter said. Our main competence is what Peter said, what we can help immediately, if it's helmet or food or whatever it is. This is our competence. We have no arms suppliers in our circle. Of course, we can talk to our contacts. We can try our best. We can talk tonight, but we are not.
NATO, aber wir haben es verstanden, dass
we're not a military organization, and we are closing the airspace for all Russian planes. Even Switzerland is joining. Turkey closed off the Bosporus for all military ships so that the Russians cannot go through. And I think the most important thing is our humanitarian aid, food. And Mariana, please, the floor is yours.
Michael, thank you. I have a short remark to Mr. Fischhaber. I was contacted today by the representative of Ministry of Military, and they are requesting food supply, and they know that we have a senator in our Senate who is available and who has the possibility, like Mr. Fischhaber, to give some supply of the food. So they asked me to connect them via our Senate because this is actually what they need. And also, I would like to use this minute just to give you an idea that maybe because of the credibility of this Senate, we can create a platform where we can collect all the demands that are now necessary for Ukraine, money, food, and other supplies, what we can. So it's all centralized through the Senate, if you are not against, because this is credible and people will believe that we will deliver it to the right place and we will not misuse any penny that will be donated to this platform. Thank you.
Very much. That's why how network functions. So, vielen Dank. Peter,
thank you very much. Peter, we have the direct match there. We'll go via me or via Daniel so we can connect each other, so we have an idea. Next, David, very quickly, Daniel, and then Eduard Kastner. And then I would give the floor back to the speakers.
Yes.
David, quickly.
Yeah, okay. I'll be quick. Military help humanitarian help, financial help. All those things help, yes, but we have a very limited period of time on our hands. The elephant in the room, the fact that the Russian government is currently hiding from their citizens, the fact that they have started a war, the fact that they are sending people, even people who we've caught and jailed, are saying that we were sent here by mistake, or we were not told that we are going to shoot innocent people. The main problem is the awareness in the Russian society, the fact that nothing is being done currently, and the fact that the current government is still exists in Russia, and only by destroying the root of the problem we will get rid of it. Thank you.
That's a very important topic, David. Das ist ein sehr wichtiges Thema. Ich habe mir das auch.
It's a very important topic. I wrote it down. Social media. I connected the Bild-Zeitung. David, we need, Larissa, we need pictures, videos. We need markers with copyright. Who did it? When was it made? Who made it? Where was it made? So these things become available, these documents. And social media is what we need to work with. Also in Russia, the Bild-Zeitung now has their news in Russian as well. Media is an important topic. Daniel, you are the speaker. First Daniel, then Eduard, Mark, Horst, and then the last word by our delegate here. Very quickly, what Mariana said, I want to support that. We have connections with large influencers, also our brand EES, so people can give aid. The little help that we're giving every day helps. Little things. That's already working. Baby food, Pampers, all of that. The things that people said today, things that they cannot just buy. This is our call for. Little aid we send every day. But what Mariana said, food, etc., that's what we need to support. The platform of EES, who has contacts to whom and where, we need to correlate that. Today, tomorrow, the day after. Thank you. Eduard? We need to think strategically. If the occupational ring around Kiev is closed, we can get nothing in. This is 2 or 3 days. And, you know, the Russians will close off Kiev and we cannot get food in there. The same happens with the border. Once the Russians have the border under control, we can't get anything in. We need to very, very quickly, strategically, not think of who can do what next week. We have a few days, hours, if we want to help. Kiev has the government. If the government is still there, as long as possible, we have a chance. We need to get aid to Kiev. Thank you. Yes, we're doing that. Daniel is also underway for this. The church community in Munich, we can only congratulate how quickly people are acting. Same with Laura. Nobody is screaming this out loud, but a lot of things are happening. Of course, weapons are the most important, even though I'm usually peaceful. I think weapons are most important now. Larissa wrote this to us or wrote to me. Innocent people are dying. This is really a big, horrific dilemma we're in. No matter what continues, Putin and especially, Putin and Russia really nipped it and will, it will be repaid. From my side, every person, every enterprise is helping in the framework of his or her possibilities. I know the headquarters is in contact with the contractors, the local contractors. So our nutritional substitutes can be used as food, and that they make sure that the food is sent where it's needed, very unbureaucratically within our community. I'm very happy that we're doing what we can do. Horst, go ahead. One thing I want to say, help needs to happen immediately, sanctions as well. I go demonstrate every day. Write to your delegates. I don't know if it's realistic that we're protecting this airspace. Second, Peter, many people want to do business with this. I would suggest that aid given should be given tax-free and tax-deductible. We need to set it up. How can we have an inflow of help, a continued inflow of help? There's so much bureaucracy you're confronted with if you're trying to donate. And I think, people trying to help Ukraine should not pay on top of that. The government, the federal government needs to find a way how you can donate tax-free, tax-deductible, without extra cost, and so that aid gets to where it needs to be. Very clear, yes, absolutely. On the public domain, there is the price checking committee. And this is also something that the economy is pertained or is involved in. Of course, this is not a time to do business. This is a time to help. And whoever doesn't understand that, there is the honorable tradesman. We don't want people who are just in it for the money. Maybe you can say something, Franz Josef. Thank you. Unfortunately, I don't have the solution, but I feel like I'm going out of this event with a different stand than I went into with. I think we made it too easy for ourselves. We discussed too long, for example, the topic of weapons supplies, especially offensive weapons. This should never have been a question, really. Second point, our own army, we put into a situation, and I'm, as a union politician, I'm saying that this army is neither in personnel or material able to supply anything, to perform at all. We're getting the bill for policy. This is a dramatic situation. It's not just Russia. what economy is concerned, we are dependent on China and nuclear-powered France and from the US. What I'm taking away today, you can donate things, even in Germany, even within the tax laws. And this is where the circle comes full circle. The things that the task force is discussing in the Bavarian Economic Ministry. They will talk about economic losses being prevented for Germany and Bavaria. I came in here thinking about what we should do for companies that are involved in Ukraine. We need to make it clear to enterprises in Bavaria. It's not about saving money and prosperity in the short term. We need to become independent and sovereign again economically. We're switching off a nuclear power plant at the end of the year. At the same time, we're thinking about where we can get our energy supply from and if we can still pay for it. So into this entire round, we need to the associations, the chambers, we need to look at, we should not look at where we can prevent losses for our enterprises, but we need to think long-term. So not short-term losses, but long-term achievements. I will offer and pay my contribution. Also, when I'm going into the talks with the task force, what can the Bavarian economy do? Also, medical supplies, food. This was something that was new for me. Of course, it's self-evident, but most of us don't even think of that. This is what I'll also tell the Bavarian economic minister. And also, of course, the tax-deductible aid. One thing I want to say on our free entrepreneurs can only work if we have freedom and liberty. I think all of us could take something out of this. I'm very thankful that we changed the topics, all our speakers, thank you. And of course, our other problems are not gone, but this is more pressing. And in Brussels, we have under COVID, there are many things pushed through in Brussels that have nothing to do with Ukraine, but it's important too. And we're working on that as well with the Economic Senate, with the SME, taxpayers, corporations, and our partners and friends. We're trying to stand united. For all of you, David, please pass it on. We're on your side within the framework of our possibilities. And please help us with information, with videos, with pictures, with lists. And we will do everything in our power to get this to the right people, the right connections, the right companies. Please, you can defend yourself. If there are victims, hopefully they are on the other side. You have the right to defend yourselves. We're in the defensive position here. This is not an aggression by you. Defend yourself in all possible ways, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that all of you stay healthy. Thank you for your insights. And electricity, water, internet, all of these things. This is self-evident for us, but not for you. To fight for freedom, this is it's worth it. And to put everything behind that. Thank you very much. And thank you. It took a little longer today. Thank you very, very much. Long live Ukraine. Best of luck.